Well, good evening, all. Ira Epstein, and here we are with your Spider ETF stock market wrap-up for a very quiet Wednesday. And this is the 8th of May, 2024. Beautiful weather here in Chicago, but rain again tonight going to come in. But at near 80 degrees, you don't beat that. And if you're in Chicago in the spring and summer, it's gorgeous. So a place to come in terms of beauty. All right, so we don't see any real news breaks. The word is news breaks out of Israel and Hamas. Keep that in the back of your mind. I kept up with it all day. CNN has had a very good running thing as to what's going on. They have, if you go in there, you can get onto one of their feeds, and as they're feeding all the news on it, you see it. So while Israel has gone in and gone to the crossing in Rafah, people don't realize it is taking down buildings. It's got its bulldozers there. It's doing it. Its soldiers have gone a mile outside of Rafah. They have moved in more troops, and the pressure is on Hamas. It's like knock, knock, knocking on your door. I'm here. Are we going to do a deal, or do you really want to see the other side of me? That seems to be where we're at. And I'm hoping that a deal gets done. I think everybody that I'm talking to out there wants a truce of some type to be able to be reached. And maybe we get to a final settlement on this as time goes by. The last thing we all want to do is see problems. In terms of news for tomorrow, let's take a look at what we've got. You got the jobless claims. Seems like they were just here, but here they come again in the weekly claims. They're looking for 214,000 still. A low number by any stretch, and that would be up 6,000. And then we're going to look at the EI natural gas storage. They're looking for about 90 billion cubic feet to be coming into it. Natural gas has been acting pretty good as of recent. Futures markets act like maybe a short-term, maybe even a longer-term bottom is in. If you look at natural gas in Europe, it's been on a tear to the upside. We just have a lot of it because we produce so much, and we're very fortunate in the United States. You know that the Biden administration has given the go-ahead to replace 3 million barrels of the strategic oil reserve. They've become energy traders, but if they can do it, all the better for them. You know, Home Depot has been an out-of-favor market. The question is, has it come down enough where it's okay? Why is it out of favor? That's because over the past 2 years, I don't know about you, but your neighbors have certainly done it. You've seen all the things you have to do in your home. Mortgages got very high. People are comfortable staying where they are. If they bought new homes or got new mortgages and got low rates, they did what they had to do. And now it's more maintenance than it is all the remodeling. At least that's what I see all in the neighborhoods that I'm at in Chicago. And I think you're seeing that in other places. That's one of the reasons you're here. When you take a look at the swing line pattern, and by the way, this chart, as you know, was the daily bar chart by itself. Now we can see what the chart looks like. You do have an uptrend trying to fill into the gap right through here. We have a market that the major supports at 336.23 to 334.83. The red is the 18-day average. The gray is the 200-day average of closes, and that fits right in with the gap in the chart. In the Bollinger Bands, you've gotten up to the band recently and got thrown right back, which you'd expect. The first challenge is often the one that you fail at. And then we look at where stochastics are, and they're no longer, they're coming back down. They're no longer in overbought territory. So I do think you'll see some buying with stops under the recent lows. In eBay, again, you hit that Bollinger Band. When you hit it, it's often the first time, if you've taken my course on enhanced Bollinger Bands, that is where pros like to jump into this market or out of it. All right. When I say out of it, I teach that the first time you hit it, if you're short, and obviously if you're coming down, I'm thinking you're short. That's where traders are coming out. Tesla probably going back to the 18-day average to regroup. It's now got a downtrend on the swing line, but as long as you're over the 18-day average, the bias is up. You had gotten overbought, and now you're starting to correct where momentum's coming down in the market. Foreign currency trade is drifting. Now, we get the Bank of England tomorrow making its rate decision. It's widely expected that it's going to sit, but there is pressure, and I can see where it's coming from because inflation has fallen to 3.2% last month from 3.4%. So you could get a surprise. I don't think you will from Mr. Bailey, but you could. And so we'll see what that's going to do at the British pound. That doesn't really affect, I said, FCX, my mistake. FCX is Freeport. I'm so used to it from futures. Freeport. This is where I'm looking for the support in this market. I said this so wrong. Sideways. We'll get to the FXE, and that's where my brain was, okay? My mistake, all right. But in looking at this, just drifting. In the copper, you're breaking in the futures markets, and you're coming down into support areas, especially on the weekly charts. Keep your eye on that, in that 445 level. In UGA, you've been slipping, and yesterday I said, I think we're down into an area where the market's going to try to hold in this fund. You got down to the 100 and the 200-day average. If I step back with you to yesterday, you can see what I was talking about, and I said right under us are these numbers, and you're oversold. We're even more oversold today. The question is, can you get another day or two of this to embed? But if you don't, you get your bounce right here. No, it is not a buy signal. It certainly is a signal for some people that have been on the short side and riding this Bollinger Band, because every day you've hit the band now for 6 days, but you move from the left side to the right, which keeps it in fine tradition. That's called riding the band. And as you had this on it, watch out. This market, you get that, and it's very powerful. I call that the Gorilla Glue trade because it locks into the band. But these averages, you pay attention to them. In XLF, now the financial service is still running a little bit here. So, you know, they're hoping to see that their business can stay good. Interest rates are not moving very much now. We've suddenly gotten, and I'm telling you, it's like watching paint. You're back to, are we going to move 5 or 8 ticks in a day? It's very strange because these markets are moving 30 ticks in a day. So it's all changed. How long? I don't know. XLI, the industrial sector, well, you're up at the resistance, but this market has been a surprise to the upside. It's acted pretty darn good. You had an outside day to the downside today. As we're looking at the consumer, you've got the, if you take a look, the lower high, lower low. You've had a rally that is fighting a battle at the 100-day average with support on the breaks at the 18. If you close under 47.41, you roll this over into a bearish mode. If you can take out the highs of Tuesday and close over it, you probably go to the upper Bollinger Band and you reinstate the bull market. So very tight chart action. In the home builders, I'm looking for a bit of a pullback, not a bear market, but that challenge of the Bollinger Band's a rough area. I mean, I know you don't believe it, some of you, but it is. And that first move up is often where you stop, especially if you used your energy. Think of this as energy. And as the energy in the market moves up and you get to that 80 number, you're getting exhausted. You've, like an electric race car, you ever watch how they go around the track and they have to recharge them and they tell you how much energy they got left? Well, that's a good analogy for this. It's sort of worn itself out, can't get through that last barrier. It's got to come down a bit. The bias is still up, but the market's lost its energy to the upside. And in the energy sector itself, you've got a market that's drifting, no trend, downside bias, correcting an oversold condition. In GLD, you don't have anything yet going. I think the markets might all wait for 2 elements. Number one, what goes on with Israel and Hamas, not in the order of importance, by the way. Number 2 is a week from today, we get the CPI numbers. Now, the more I'm reading, we are not by ourselves in the problem on CPI. It's us, it's the UK, it's Australia and Canada. All the countries that have seen major migration hit them have housing problems. Some are dealing with they're not going to let certain nationals buy. I read today that in Florida, Chinese nationals are having trouble buying homes. People don't want to sell, or the state's giving them a hard time. Different issues. If you've read in Canada how Justin Trudeau has put together a housing program to try to fight the shortages. Well, we here have migrant. And as you know, the Biden administration is now talking suddenly tomorrow. They may change how they allow migrants in. I don't understand our immigration policy to begin with, never did. But when you let them in, you let them work, they have to have a place to live. Whatever that is, it's taking up homes. If it takes up homes, you can get rent. If If you can take up rent and get a higher price, you're not taking down CPI. Problem in all four of the countries I just mentioned. And immigration is directly tied to it. I'm not saying immigration is bad. I'm saying more people changing a limited amount of housing. You have lower low, higher high in silver. If you can get this silver to close over 25.13, I think it's going to be an attempt at a move to the upside. You would have to have stops under where the recent low is if you're taking that type of trade, and it might be coming up here. I don't see anything to throw out a sell signal just yet. In the copper market, so sorry I made the mistake on Freeport. But here's the market coming into the support level here of 46.08. Still a bit overbought. I don't like markets when you get readings to put new money to work when they're over a 70 level. But I can see that the market's still acting pretty good on sideways action. On TLT, you've basically gone from the lower Bollinger Band challenge to the upper. And remember, when you go up, you're dropping yields, and now the market's run into the battleground on the first challenge of the Bollinger Band. I could almost hit a button and make a recording like Kramer has, right? The first time you hit it, first time you hit the Bollinger Band, I think they'll be short covering. His sounds. And back up to the 18-day average. And in FXE, this is what we were talking about. There's still lots of pressure on Ms. Lagarde at the June meeting, they're going to talk about for rate cuts. So I think that they'll be one of the big ones to go. Right now, if you were to ask me, I'd say they are going to see a rate cut. You'd have to change a lot of the data for me to get anything but as comfortable as I am in saying that. Everything's pointing that they can make one and hold and take them here and there to see the impact of it if she's got the stomach for it. Everybody's scared that if they cut and then they have to ever go back up, they lose their credibility. And that is a big problem for the bankers, and I get it. You should understand that too. So you put it together, this is basically the patterns that you've got right now. Now, I cover all this and a heck of a lot more early in the morning. Whether you trade futures, stocks, ETFs, I start early. Now, when I tell you early, I start this at now 6 in the morning. I put out new videos. They will cover the fundamentals, the tech trading. They will show up on our website and look like this. And they'll have the time that I post them and where they're at. And you can get the futures video. You can get the Spider ETF video. They'll play right there. We also give you, if you're interested, for your phone. I don't care if it's Android or Apple. We have the phone app for it. You can play them through there. You'll get a text message and an email if you're in North America, email if you're out of North America. The charts will look like you're seeing. We have special reports that I put out. I'm searching right now for a special report to do in stocks and in futures, and I'm not comfortable yet. It's not that I'm lazy. I'm just not comfortable. I like to be right when I put them out. And I'm looking for markets that will give me a reason to put something out. You can get all this if you go to iraepstein.com and research, move your cursor to the top part up here. You'll see an icon. You can get it that way. And if need be, just call my staff. They'll work with you. I'm Ira. You have yourself a great day. I will talk to you all tomorrow morning or in my other videos tonight as I wrap up the futures markets and the metal markets. You take care.